Hello, and welcome to FXWB New Beginnings podcast with Michelle. How are you guys doing today? I hope you are doing well. We are in the last quarter of the year, and it's fall here in Indiana, in the Midwest, in the US. We are seeing lots of colorful leaves everywhere. Leaves are falling. It's beautiful looking outside when the sun is out. At least that's how I see it. And we are sensing that there is some kind of ending happening, but then there is some beginning going to occur at some point. We see the squirrels everywhere. There's lots of activity in the air. And we also know that we too have a lot going on the end of the quarter, right? There's so much things, family gatherings, birthdays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whichever holidays, religions that you may be a part of, it is normally a very busy season. But we want to come together and still talk with each other and learn from each other so that we can enhance our well-being in this space. When we here at FXWB, we always talk about our well-being. We want to learn how to enhance our well-being through different facets. Whether it's through health. I'm always talking about our health. That is something I'll never stop talking about because our health is our wealth. That is my perspective, and I hope that you can see that. But we also look at different facets, like we look at our environment, how that plays on our well-being. We look at our relationships, our immediate relationships with our family and friends, or relationships in a community, how we, connect with each other, help out each other, learn from each other. We look at that in conjunction with finding our purpose. I like to say cultivating our purpose because our purpose is something that's fluid. It just moves, and we learn from throughout our life cycle so many different things, so many people we meet, things we involve ourselves in. So we cultivate our purpose, and we like to also think of our security. Security in finances, yes, but more so security in our makeup. How we can enhance our well-being throughout our life cycle on this earth, helping each other, learning about even ourselves. So we here at FXWB New Beginnings Podcast, if this is the first time you've been here, thank you so much for joining us. Like and subscribe our channel. But we want you to always listen because there's always something to learn here. Today we extend learning more with a new individual that I met with, and I'm so happy to share her story with you today and share even more a little later on. But let's get into it. Today, I would like to invite you to listen in to Miss Emily Miller. Hi, Emily. How are you today?
I'm great, Michelle. Thank you for asking.
Wonderful. Emily, I am going to ask my favorite questions. Who are you and what do you do?
Yes, well, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, emphasis on the family part. I actually don't work with couples, but I work with individuals and families.
Okay.
I come from a spiritual perspective. For those who appreciate that, we really incorporate that into the therapy process, but I also use the solution-focused brief therapy model. And I'll give a shout out to Elliot Connie. He has really been a great trainer over the years and has inspired me to be a better therapist. So thanks, Elliot, for that.
Wonderful. All right. So we are hearing here you're a therapist, marriage. Yes, have done that, but not really looking at centering your practice on marriage and couples, but rather so much so families. Emily, tell me, how did you get involved in helping families as a therapist?
I suppose most people are a little bit inspired by their own family. I
Yes.
think I actually grew up in a very healthy family. I was very blessed in that way. I grew up in kind of a rural part of Indiana, and my family is very loving and supportive of me. And maybe that helped me to get to where I am today.
Mhm.
I was always very driven, and they just let me go the way that I wanted to go,
Uh-huh.
and that's where how I got here. Uh, but I suppose there were also things that I saw in life that just made me think, oh, wow, I think that this could be something I could be passionate about. I want to make sure that I can find a way to help families. And I was probably naive at first and thought I knew more than I knew. And I realized as I became a mother how much I didn't know. And it's just been a journey along the way. So somewhat
Okay.
humbling
All
to
right.
discover that along the way, I think.
Yeah. So you grew up in a rural area in Indiana. Tell me something. So did you grow up with your mom and dad?
Mhm.
Because I know that plays a huge role in us being able to teach and learn and help others. So um do you have brothers and sisters?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do. So I have a brother and a sister, and I also at one point had a foreign exchange sister, which is really great. I wasn't living in the home anymore. I had gone off to college, but I would still consider her pretty special. So.
Yeah. All right. So how has your family influenced you developing the passion to want to help families?
Hmm.
How did that play a role for you?
Well, I would definitely say that their their love for me and their support of me and growing up in a healthy family myself, I wanted other people to be able to experience that as well. Every family has its challenges. Mine was no different. Uh, but just being able to support people through the challenges that they do face, that's something that I'm passionate about. I guess I'm probably more likely to not categorize families as healthy or unhealthy, but just to look at the challenges that they face and to try to help support them and bring out the best in them through that.
Okay, so what would you consider a challenge in a family setting?
Right. A lot of times it's just a transition that they might experience. Children going from young children to teenagers. And now things are different, and the teenagers are developing a sense of independence. And there's this fine line between them questioning and going their own way, and maybe being disrespectful toward their parents. And so I help people in the session to work through some of that.
Okay, okay. So you would you deal with the full spectrum, like a family with little ones versus a family with teenagers or adult children? How has
Yes.
that been for you in terms of relating to others?
That's a great question, Michelle. I always try to tell people that I work with all of these stages. I really like working with adult children and parents or siblings. That's something that I love. Uh, I really appreciate that people are willing to come in that stage and recognize there's something we need to work on. Not everyone is willing to do that. And I love working with parents and teenagers, and I love working with parents and little ones. Now, I would say that for me specifically, I don't tend to work with the littlest of littles.
Okay.
Not because I don't love and appreciate them,
Right.
but because the method that I use is a little more suitable for those who can articulate themselves better.
Right, right. Wow. Okay, so I want to bring in the spiritual aspect of it. How has your family background and spirituality influenced how you do what you do?
Mm, I absolutely think that influences everything. I'm very spiritually oriented. I believe God is in every part of my life and that He is the reason that I'm doing this today and that I want to represent Him well. So I believe that inspires my actions. And you kind of asked about my family upbringing and how that's impacted. I would say there's a few things that have uh, been that I would really thank God for, perhaps, that I might tend to take for granted on a normal basis. Most people don't know this about me, but when I was a baby, someone tried to kidnap me.
Oh, wow.
And it was actually in a parking lot. So my mom had my brother, who was a toddler, and me. And the woman asked my mom, did she need help because she had her arms full? And she said, no, I got this.
Huh?
And the woman grabbed me out of my mom's arms and started running.
Okay, then.
And so uh, my mom shoved my brother in the car and took off after her
Oh,
and
good
got
for
back.
her.
And so, of course, me being a baby, I don't remember this.
Right.
But there have been a few times in my life where I thought, wow, how my life would have been different if
Yes.
this hadn't turned out this way.
Right. Right.
And so
I,
I think that when I think about it, that shapes me a bit, just to have that kind of thankfulness that, wow, there are
yes.
so many moments in life where it could have gone this way or that way. And I'm so incredibly thankful that it went the way that it did and
Right.
that I ended up in this family who loved me. And I don't know where I would have been otherwise.
Right. Right.
Cool story to
And
think about.
that's amazing. And that right there is a miracle because, as you said, the outcome could have been far different
Right.
than what you know today. And even though you are a baby and may not have known, just the fact that it was related to you and you were told what has happened, that has given you somewhat like a resilience to want to be safe and want to be, be a part of a family that cares for you.
Hmm.
And that
Absolutely.
helps a lot,
Yes.
that knowing that, hey, my mother literally ran for me, it's like, hey, I have a hero for a mom, that's amazing.
Exactly.
Hey, go
Yeah.
mom.
Yes, I do love my mom. She's very special. Uh,
Yes, yes. So, and I think that definitely can shape how you want to help people
yes.
because subconsciously for you now in your system or in your DNA, it's more like you want to help, and I could even see a protective side of it because you want to make sure that everybody's safe.
Mm,
That can be a way of um, being influenced by what your mom did to in your sphere of wanting to help others, learn and figure out what's going on with them. That kind of shapes how you would do what you do, which is
exactly.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, great. So tell me, how long have you been a therapist?
I think if you include my training, it's been 19 years.
Okay.
Makes me sound a little old.
No, no. Girl, don't even let me start on my side here, but you good. You're good. No, but it gives you integrity and it gives you that level of maturity in the field. What has been some of your challenges in the field?
Ooh, that's a great question, Michelle. Let me think about that for a second. I would say I've been in a variety of settings,
Okay.
and uh, I've been in home based, I've been in the hospital, I've been in outpatient, I've been in institutions, and they're all unique.
Yeah.
And they do have their challenges sometimes, but they're all trying to meet a specific need.
Yes.
And so I would say what I've come to believe is that I really just need to be tuning into the person in front of me, regardless of where they've come to me from.
Right.
Now, in some of these settings, I was quite a young therapist and inexperienced, and I probably didn't do this very well. But at this point in time, whoever comes into me, whatever they believe, whatever situation they find themselves in,
Yes.
I want to see them as a person who wants change in their life. They want something to be different, better, maybe. And I'm going to do my best to partner with them in that. Even
Yes.
if it's a teenager that says, I just don't want to come here anymore. What do you
Right.
want from therapy? I want to not have to come to therapy. Okay.
Right.
So,
Well,
uh,
if you don't want to come to therapy, this is what we need to do.
I'm on board with that. I don't want you to have to come to therapy either. And so, we work together to understand their resources being things like, well, actually, I have one behind me.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite resources. It's called a Theracane, and
Okay.
it gets all the knots in your back. And
Oh, ooh, I like that.
so a resource can be anything that's useful to you. It
Yes.
can be a thing, it can be a person, it can be a character trait that you possess, it can be going to the gym, it can be eating healthy,
Yeah.
it can be having health insurance. All these things are resources to us. Or having a roof over your head.
Yep.
And so I help people to see how many resources they have. Often people are surprised when we
Right.
start making this list together. I start drawing out their internal resources, and I might ask their family members if they're present. And if they're not present, I might ask them what their family members would say if they were there. What would your boss say? What would your teacher say? What would your best friend say? I want to know all these things because a lot of times it's easier for people to think about their resources from someone else's perspective because
Yes.
we're taught this culture of humility, right? And so
Yep.
to name that I'm smart or I'm beautiful or I'm this or that is hard for people, but if somebody else says it, it makes it a little easier.
Yes. Yes.
So I help people to identify their resources, and we keep that on hand. Sometimes people want to take a picture of it,
Right.
so they have that handy for themselves to remember. And we work toward whatever it is that they're seeking, and that might just be one thing. It might be the
Right.
teenager saying, "I don't want to come to therapy anymore."
Right.
If you weren't coming to therapy anymore, what would be different in your life? What would be
Right.
allowing you to not have to come here anymore? And we'd understand that. And why would that matter? Okay. And now that's what we're seeking.
Right. Good.
And so
Good.
that's what I do.
Good. And I like what you do because I think it will help a lot of people out there that seeking to understand themselves with assistance and being that listening ear and open to listening to what has happened, what's happening, and what they would like to see happen is
Yeah.
really important for somebody to have that listening ear, even though there are other people around wanting to listen to them and help them, but yet still they're not seeing that. But now they're seeing it from a different perspective, from somebody on the outside looking in
Right.
to get help.
Absolutely. I often see people just me reflecting something back to them or they're saying it out loud. It's like a real aha moment for them, even
Yes.
though it may have been there all along.
Right, right. Okay, good. All right, guys. So we have learned a good bit about Emily this day, and I would like to share more about Emily and get a deeper dive into what she does. So we would be back sharing more about what Emily Miller does in her practice as a specialist therapist, Christian spiritual therapist. That's what I'm going to call her. And look into how we can help families, how families can get help and see that there's help out there to help the families in their time of need. And everybody's dynamic is different. Everybody's issues may be different, but learning what's going on helps for someone on the outside to help you learn about yourself and, learn different, modalities and different ways of helping yourself to move forward. So thank you so much, Emily, for coming on this day with us here at FXWB New Beginnings Podcast. We are grateful for you sharing your passion and your story with us, and we will continue this discussion in the next series. We look forward to seeing you guys listening on. If you have any questions, do share with us, and we will touch base with you on here. Have a great day. Thank you, Emily. This has been FXWB New Beginnings Podcast with Michelle, and today, Emily.